Hello, and welcome back to Bedtime Fables. The day has whispered its last goodbye, and the world is settling into a deep and peaceful quiet. It is a time to listen to the gentle sounds of the night. Tonight, our story is about a little boy who could understand the most secret of those sounds, the voice of the wind itself. So let your breathing grow soft and slow as our story begins. Finn had a secret, a wonderful and magical secret that he had never told a single soul. He could understand the wind. He could hear its voice. It was not a voice of words, but a voice of feelings and of pictures and of distant, beautiful sounds. He would sit by his window for hours, his eyes closed, and just listen. The wind would tell him of the places it had been, of the things it had seen on its long, invisible journeys across the world. There were 4 winds, 4 great storytellers, who would take turns visiting his little seaside cottage, and he knew each of them by their unique and special voice. On a high, grassy cliff, where the land met the great, wide sea, there stood a small, cozy cottage with a roof the color of a stormy sky and a door the color of a cheerful bluebell. This was the home of a little boy named Finn. Finn was a quiet, unthoughtful boy with hair the color of autumn leaves and eyes the color of the sea on a calm summer's day. He loved his little cottage, a safe, warm harbor against the great, wild world outside. He loved the smell of the salty air, the cry of the distant gulls, and the rhythmic, sleepy sigh of the waves on the shore below. But most of all, Finn loved the wind. To everyone else, the wind was just wind, gentle breeze to fly a kite, or a strong gale to be sheltered from. But to Finn, the wind was alive, and it was full of stories. Tonight, as the moon rose, a gentle, warm breeze began to blow from the south. It rattled the window pane with a soft, friendly tap, and it smelled of warm sand and sweet, exotic flowers. "Hello, Finn," it seemed to whisper. It was the south wind, the kindest and most gentle of the 4 sisters. She was a storyteller of warm, sunny places, and her voice was a soft, warm hum that made the little cottage feel even cozier than before. She swirled into his room, a gentle, shimmering ribbon of golden light, bringing with her the feeling of a long, lazy, and perfectly sleepy afternoon. The south wind began to tell her story. She whispered to Finn of a tiny, secret island, far, far away in the middle of a warm, turquoise sea. She painted a picture for him in his mind, a picture of beaches with sand as white and as fine as sugar. She told him of the great, green, arching palm trees, whose long leaves rustled a happy, dry, and scratchy song all day long. She showed him the brilliant, jewel-colored parrots that would flash through the air like living rainbows, their calls a cheerful, happy squawk that echoed through the warm, sunny air. Finn could almost feel the warmth of that distant sun on his own face as he listened. Just as the south wind finished her warm, sunny story, a new sound was heard at the cottage. It was a high, clean, and whistling sound, a sound like ice skids on a frozen pond. A cool draft whispered under the door, and the air in the room grew crisp and clean. "Thank you for your story, sister." A new voice seemed to whistle, a voice as clear and as sharp as a newly formed icicle. "Now it is my turn." It was the north wind, the oldest and most serious of the 4 brothers. He was a storyteller of quiet, cold, and beautiful places. She told him of the tiniest of all birds, the little hummingbird, no bigger than his thumb, whose wings beat so fast they became an invisible blur and made a soft, magical humming sound that was the heartbeat of the island's sleepy afternoons. She described the great, beautiful flowers that grew there. Flowers as big as dinner plates, with petals of the most brilliant pinks and oranges imaginable, and how the hummingbirds would visit them, drinking their sweet, sugary nectar. Finn could almost taste the sweetness on his own tongue, and he could hear the gentle, buzzing lullaby of the hummingbird's tiny, busy wings. The north wind did not tell his stories with warmth, but with a beautiful, cold, and silent clarity. He painted a picture in Finn, a young boy of about 7 with a wild mop of reddish-brown hair, wearing a cozy, hand-knitted, oversized wool sweater's mind of the great white lands at the very top of the world. He showed him mountains made not of rock, but of pure, blue, ancient ice that glittered in the starlight like giant, sleeping diamonds. He told him of the great, silent, and powerful polar bears, the kings and queens of the snow, who would walk with a slow, powerful grace across the endless, white fields, their thick, white fur a perfect cloak against the cold. He told him of the deep, quiet, and magical world that existed beneath the ice. He described how the light from the sky would filter down through the thick, frozen sea, turning the water into a great, glowing, blue-green cathedral. He told him of the seals, sleek and graceful, who would dance and spiral in this silent underwater world, a beautiful, secret ballet that no one on the surface ever got to see. The North Wind's story was not warm, but it was full of a deep, profound, and sleepy peace. It was the peace of a world that was perfectly still and perfectly quiet. Now, usually, the two winds, the warm south and the cold north, would not visit on the same night. But tonight, they had both felt the little boy's quiet, listening heart, and they had decided to give him a special gift. The warm, golden ribbon of the south wind and the cool, silvery ribbon of the north wind began to swirl and dance together in the middle of Finn's little room. They did not fight, they intertwined. The warmth of the south softened the cold of the north, and the clarity of the north sharpened the gentle haze of the south. They were creating something new, something perfect, together. And as the two winds danced together, their stories began to weave into a single, perfect lullaby. Finn, a young boy of about 7 with a wild mop of reddish-brown hair that always looks like it's being gently tossed by the wind. Large, curious, sea-green eyes, and a kind, thoughtful expression. Wearing a cozy, hand-knitted, oversized wool sweater, could now hear the gentle, happy hum of the tiny hummingbird from the warm, southern island, and he could also hear the deep, peaceful silence of the great, white, northern snowfields. He could smell the sweet perfume of the tropical hibiscus, and he could also smell the clean, crisp, cold scent of ancient ice. The stories were no longer separate. They had become one beautiful, impossible, and wonderfully sleepy song, a song of a world that was both warm and cold, both quiet and full of life, all at the same time. The perfect, gentle breeze that the two winds created swirled around Finn, and it carried him from his chair to his bed, tucking him in under his cozy covers. And as he lay there, his mind, full of the beautiful, mixed-up stories, began to dream. He dreamed he was lying on a beach where the sand was as soft and as white as snow, but as warm as a summer's day. He dreamed he was watching graceful, colorful parrots flying through a sky that was filled not with clouds, but with the gentle, silent, and beautiful waving curtains of the northern lights. It was a world that made no sense, but it was the most peaceful and beautiful world he had ever imagined. Their work was done. The little boy who loved to listen was now safely on his way to a long night of beautiful dreams. With a final, gentle, and harmonious swirl, the two great winds, the warm and the cold, danced their way back out of his window. They separated once more, the south wind turning to continue her journey towards the warm, sleepy lands of the equator, and the north wind turning to fly back to his silent, beautiful kingdom of ice and stars. They had given their gift, a story, woven from two very different worlds, to the little boy who loved to listen. Finn's little room was quiet again. The magical, swirling lights were gone, and the whispering voices had faded. There was only the soft, steady, and peaceful sound of his own gentle breathing, and the distant, sleepy sigh of the real sea on the shore far below. The great storytellers had gone, but they had left behind their greatest gift, a deep, profound, and wonderfully restful silence. The little boy who could talk to the wind was now fast asleep, his heart full of the beautiful, impossible stories he had been told. And now, it is time for you to listen to your own quiet, sleepy wind. It is the gentle, steady rhythm of your own breathing. It is a wind that can carry away all your busy thoughts and leave behind only a deep, comfortable, and wonderful peace. The stories of the day are over, and it is time to let the quiet, magical story of the night and of your own dreams begin. Imagine a soft, gentle breeze is drifting into your room. It is not a cold wind or a loud wind. It is a perfect, sleepy breeze that carries the clean smell of the sea and the quiet twinkle of the stars. Feel it gently brush against your cheek. A soft goodnight kiss from the sleeping world outside. Let this gentle, calming feeling help every single one of your muscles to relax and unwind, getting you ready for a long and peaceful sleep. Listen to the quiet, peaceful rhythm of your own breathing. Let it be as slow and as steady as the gentle waves on a calm, moonlit sea. A long, soft breath in, a long, sleepy breath out. A gentle, repetitive rhythm that is as old as the world itself. This is the lullaby of the ocean, the song that the whole world listens to when it is time to fall asleep. And it is singing just for you now. The whole world is sleeping now. The little cottage is sleeping on its cliff. The great wide sea is sleeping on the shore. And the four great winds are resting, gathering their strength and their new stories for another night. Everything is at peace, and you can feel that deep, wonderful peace filling you up now, making you feel safe and cozy and very, very sleepy. Thank you for listening to The Wind with us at Bedtime Fables. There is always a new, gentle story waiting to be told on the breeze of the night. If you would like to be here to listen, you can ask your grown-up to tap the subscribe button, so we can all meet again for our next sleepy adventure. Until then, may your own dreams be full of beautiful stories. Good night.